But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That is right, Brett Walsh. Executing to the best of the ability is everything that we do here on this show. High execution only. No mishaps. No, never. No, none. No, never. Well, what's up, boys and girls? Welcome back. It has been a long time since we've been doing this show in this particular setup. This is the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet, episode 126. It is Monday, June 24th. 2024. That's right, Everett. It is episode 126. My name is Rob St. Clair, live from Chicago. That is Everett Delorme, live from Toronto. Everett, I have beef with your city right now. I did not have
I don't want to hear. I've been hearing about it all weekend long. You had air delays. It happens. It happens.
It doesn't happen this particular way. Air Canada is extra incompetent. And it is midnight right now in Europe, which is the time zone that my body thinks that it is. So we're going to do a show because we got a lot to talk about, Everett. First and foremost, Italy. The Italian women have won the 2024 Women's Volleyball Nations League. Congratulations to them. They beat Japan 3-1 in the final. They had kind of a cakewalk to get to the final for reasons that we can talk about in a little bit. But Italy was brilliant for the entirety of the final. Paola Egoni was the MVP, which was very well deserved. And as she was awesome. And as a very friendly reminder to you all, Davide Mazzanti had access to this exact same pool of players last year, failed to medal at Euros, failed to qualify for the Olympics, and now Julio Velasco in his first tournament has put the Italian women firmly on the map as a gold medal contender in Paris.
I mean, they kind of walked through the finals, Rob.
Yeah.
They absolutely dominated. And I mean, sure, they did play what looked like a tired Japanese team in the finals. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with Brazil in that semifinal, going the distance. But man, did Italy look good? Did Paola Egoni looked locked in? She had a 50% efficiency in this match, Rob, which is a little bit unheard of from her, right? We know she's known to put up big numbers. That's nothing new when it comes to Paola Egoni's game. But her only having 3 unforced errors in this match just really doused everything Japan had to do, right? That's Japan's game. They're going to continue it, and trap you into making errors. And Italy avoided that trap completely, absolutely and completely. Their blocking game was phenomenal all throughout. Sarah Farr was a touching machine. She was blocking a lot. Same thing with Egoni. Egoni had like 3 blocks in a row in that third set to really push them forward. But overall, this Italian team underneath Julio Velasco with Paola Egoni at the helm, they look dangerous. They look really, really lethal, and I love to see it.
Yep. It's I'm very happy for the Italian Federation and for Italian women's volleyball because of the demon that they've shaken off and how quickly it has turned around. Like, I mean, think about it. Julio Velasco took over this job in around the New Year-ish. And between the time when Conegliano won the Champions League, with a week later, the VNL starting literally a week later in Turkey, he has turned this ship around in record-breaking time. That's the thing that impresses me the most about this, is that I think an important thing to remember about this VNL is that any team, or really all the teams, but especially teams with major changes this year compared to last year, had absolutely no time to put those changes into place because of the way that the calendar was.
But there's not major changes is happening, right?
It's almost head coaching change and is a major change.
Okay, that is major change. I'll give you that 100%. But in terms of Velasco, he doesn't have to change much within the team. He just needs to put the pieces that we know that work back together again.
I agree. I totally agree with that. But with what Italy looked like in 2023. Compared to what Italy looks like now in 2024 with basically no time to figure it out within their own practice gym is remarkably impressive. And that sure, these Italian pieces are what they are. The team on paper is an instant Olympic gold medal favorite, but everything that they went through last year and now that they have kind of done this for themselves, for their own sake, I think really proves a lot. Because say what you want about VNL, this year in particular, the result of the VNL finals might be the most meaningless in the history of the event, because everything in terms of Olympic placement was done after the preliminary round is over. Winning the VNL final is just kind of a cherry on top of the cake that 12 teams have realized in going to Paris, and some others have not. And you can ask the Italian men how they feel about the VNL final. We'll talk about
or
them.
the Chinese
women. Exactly.
Right?
So the result of the VNL final is less meaningful than it's ever been. But for Italy to go out and win this tournament in the dominant way that they did it, I think proves a lot to themselves after the year that they had last year. And the result is not a surprise. I mean, they three-donged my American women who were missing 2 starters. They three-donged Poland less than 24 hours after Poland won an epic 5-setter over Turkey, which, by the way, was the most criminal piece of scheduling that I may have ever seen by the FIVB. And then they beat a Japanese team who Italy is an extremely hard matchup for Japan. I give Japan credit for fighting back and taking a set in the final after getting smoked in the first 2, like not even close. I thought that showed a lot of resilience. But this the road that Italy had was going to be an easy one for a team of that talent, but they walked it. They walked that road, and Velasco is now 1-for-1 in tournaments. And this Olympics, Everett, I mean, you talked about it just a little bit on the show you did by yourself last week, but this Olympics is as wide open and as competitive as any tournament, not just any Olympics, but any tournament that I can ever remember.
When you think about how dominant Turkey was last year and how average they've kind of looked at times this year, when you look at how average Italy looked at this year and how dominant they could be, when you consider the fact that the USA always has that potential to just pick up and light up and run that team game, and there's something about Americans that you walk underneath the Olympic rings and all of a sudden you're like, you grow by 3 inches. Like I don't know what it quite is, but there's so much going on the women's side. Brazil looking so good all the way throughout. You've got dark horses
and
like
then
Serbia
failing to medal. That was a crazy thing too.
The craziest thing, right? The 2 most dominant teams throughout the preliminary stage in Brazil and Poland end up getting 3rd and 4th, right? Hell, I think after this run, you can't count out Japan and them being a dark horse, right? There's so many teams in this women's field that have a legitimate shot of a medal and a legitimate shot at shaking things up. Hell, even if when you look at the Dominican Republic, we don't know what they're going to look like at all this year. And there's so
Serbia,
much
epic wild card.
Epic wild card. So, I mean, Italy is looking fantastic this year, but Rob, you're right. Like this VNL is very inconsequential in a lot of ways, because it's all about that tweaking, and now it's all about what have we learned over the course of the past month and a half, 2 months, however you want to look at it, and what tweaks can we make now between now and when Paris starts at the end of July, right? There is a 1-month period now for those athletes to rest, recuperate, rest the body up, and not fix a few things, but work on a few things within their game. I think there's certain teams like Turkey and the United States who have a lot to work on, right? Yeah. Maybe not a lot to work on, but there's changes that need to be made. Whereas Italy, man, that is a good team, a team with some good vibes right now. And to me, just to jump back into this, I think you summed it up very, very well. But to me, you talk about roles a lot and having defined roles. It's now clear to me that this Italian team has defined roles, right? And that there's maybe not a hierarchy, but this is like everyone has their spot and everyone knows their role and everyone knows what there's to be done. Whereas it seems like Mazzanti last year was trying to pit them against each other and create that like inner turmoil and that inner competition. Like he was clearly trying to make Paola Egonu fight for her spot. And the reality is that she shouldn't have to, right? As good as Antropova is, maybe if she's, you want to get in there, then you explain it to Egonu, hey, we're going to go right back to you. But just all of that uncertainty wasn't good. And I love the fact that Velasco just came back and be like, hey, this is our team. These are our girls. We're going to rock with Silla. We're going to rock with Egonu. We're going to rock with Oro. The only change that we're seeing a little bit is mostly in the middle, but why not when you have Farr and Lubian and Danesi, who are all fantastic. So yeah, I think this Italian team looks good, but the field is absolutely wide open.
Field's wide open. Yeah, if there's one thing, that's going to stop Italy when it comes to Olympic time, I do think it'll be the outside hitter position. And Miriam Silla had a good finals, but I think there's still a little bit of indecision or lack of clarity at that second spot, because Alice De Gradi had a pretty good tournament. She's like the more physical sort of scoring type, but you obviously have Caterina Bossetti, who's back in the mix now, who's sort of like that Kelsey Robinson analog, who passes nails and makes smart decisions, but is not going to score out a system for you. And we saw both of those players in the final. And then, yeah, like you said, 3 good middle options. They have a great double sub option with Antropova and Egonu, and kind of that delayed 6-2 that we've seen a lot of teams use the last year or two. Like Egonu will go serve, Antropova will block in the front court. They'll have no setter on the floor. Then when Egonu's done serving, they'll flip it back, and then the same thing on the other way around. I like that. I think that's a perfect way to do it, and a good chance to get a damn good opposite in Katerina Antropova on the floor and contributing in some way. Roll clarity, Everett. You nailed it. Teams need it. Teams need it desperately as they figure out this tournament and as they start to figure out their 12-player Olympic rosters and going into Paris. Roll clarity super important. And Italy's starting to find that in a way that this time last year was nowhere near being on the table. So I'm very impressed by them. I wanted to give Japan a lot of credit.
That was my next thing. I definitely want to talk about Japan, because like you beating China's B team is whatever, but beating Brazil the way that they did was a lot. And like, once again, we talked about the criminal scheduling this one, Japan having to play a 5-setter. And then having to play in that final. I thought they looked really, really tired. But this Japanese team has taken a clear step forward, and I love watching them play.
Oh, they're amazingly fun to watch play. They really are. I would love to see them in person and just see the speed and the way that the ball never clears the height of the antenna on offense, and just the way that all 14 of their players can play defense it's pretty awesome. I don't think they really ever had a chance against Italy in the final, given the scheduling and the matchup. Italy's block.
That's the worst matchup for Japan.
Worst matchup. Totally.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that they can steal games from basically everyone else in the world, but Italy is real tough. I mean, Egonu was going straight over the top of every one of their blockers. There was nothing they could do to slow her down. And I think Italy's block system, just their attention to detail in the blocking game, is exactly the wrong recipe for Japan's offense. So tough one. But this reminds me of kind of China last year, like going to the VNL final, losing to a good Turkish team who they never had any chance of beating. But they can take a lot from this. I think I don't see them meddling in Paris, but they're a damn hard out. They're going to be a very hard team to beat, and they finally got that Brazil monkey off their back a little bit, because those two teams exclusively play 5-set bangers, like every single time they play, like VNL preliminary round, Olympic qualifier last year, I think
World Championship
2 years ago. Epic one there, but Japan never wins those games. They always get to 5 and they always lose to Brazil in the 5th, but they finally got one, and I think that's the real thing that they can hold their hats on as they prep for Paris.
I think this Japanese team, this version, has a little bit more pushback, and I think especially like when I'm looking at, like, especially when I'm thinking back to the World Championship match against Brazil, right? Like, they held the lead early and they held control early, and then Brazil was trying to wrestle it back. I find this Japanese team has a lot of pushback, and we saw that in that third set yesterday in the final as well too. I thought the interview, I absolutely hate the mid-match coaches interviews, because you don't really get much.
No, you don't get anything.
Right? You don't get anything from them. But I love the Japanese assistant coach coming in. He goes, Japanese players not known to be mean. We need to not be Japanese and be mean. Like something along those lines. I thought it was like incredibly endearing. And they came out with like a little bit more fire and a little bit more passion and maybe like a little bit more aggression. Italy obviously kind of transitioned and adjusted in the next set, but this Japanese team has a little bit more pushback, and I think that mainly comes through Serena Koga. Her ability to kind of put this team on the back and just hit shots is truly incredible. And the fact that her and Nishida are married is very much like that's almost as American as it gets, right? Like the two superstar athletes marrying each other and like leading their respective national teams. Like that's a story in itself. But yeah, a lot of fun watching this Japanese women's team so far.
Definitely. For the record, Yuji Nishida is the second best player at best on the Japanese men's team. That honor clearly goes to Yuki Ishikawa,
I'll give you that one.
whose sister is a starter, or at least was a starter for most of this tournament for the Japanese women. So good summer for Japanese ball. Are they on both sides? Are their women a medal threat? I would still say no, but their floor is so high that they're a very difficult team to beat. They're kind of...
Could they, I don't want to say luck themselves into a spot, but kind of luck themselves into a spot where like maybe they get someone in an off game in a quarterfinal where they're just able to keep up that level. Maybe we'll see, but I think they're maybe a dark horse.
Definitely. They can absolutely win a quarterfinal game. Just like it's similar to the Brazil game they won in the semis. Like they can get a draw of a team that they can beat and a team that they can steal a couple sets from, who might feel pressure, who might be a favorite, and pressure in the Olympics is a massive deal, as we've seen for decades. So sure, I could definitely see it.
Yeah. Just to wrap things up about Japan, I just have no confidence in their coaching. Honestly, like I don't know how much that women's team has bullied Manabe, but when you watch him in timeouts, he just kind of sulks around the side and he like doesn't really know what to say. Like they just take it over. I know we have a few very vehement Manabe haters,
vocal Manabe haters.
Yeah, in the Discord, and I kind of get it. I kind of see it. Like just him watching him in timeouts, like he just looks like he's scared of them. Like at one point he's going to say something and Koga's going to turn around and like, scold him. And he's just kind of like, oh, okay. No, like I don't want to be a part of it. I do kind of want to touch on Poland real quick.
For sure.
Poland. Oh, look at that. You already got that queued up. It's like we're on the same, on the same wavelength here, because this Polish team, even though it's the same result as last year in a bronze, I do think that they leveled up. And I do think that they took that next step. And I do think that they're a medal threat, right? Like I think that we could possibly see them when you look at the how complete this roster is, how good Stysiak is, Joszmarczyk coming off the bench, Lukasik, and even like you have Rosansky coming off the bench right now. Like this Polish team is another really good story coming into the Olympics.
Yes, they are. And they did basically all their damage this VNL without at least two starters. In Stenzel, their starting libero, and Różański, probably one of their starting outside hitters if she gets back. I mean, Łukasik was unreal in the bronze medal game. She had something in the 20s. Let me see. Yeah, 21 to lead Poland. Like she outscored Stysiak, which is insane, on 37% efficiency. So yeah, Poland's real scary. I feel bad for them about what happened to them in the semifinal. That was absolute robbery by the scheduling. They beat Turkey in an all-time great 5-setter in the quarters. That was one of the best matches I've seen in a long time. That was incredibly entertaining. That fifth set, when they started down, I think 3-0 or 3-1, and then went on like a 6-0 run, and with like a million stuff blocks from Lethal Barbie, and like awesome, like all-time awesome game. And then for some absolutely inexplicable reason, the teams that played on Friday got the earlier semifinal on Saturday. And the teams that played on Thursday and got a day off got the later semifinal on Saturday. That makes no sense. No sense at all.
I mean, you know why it happened, right? Because they wanted Japan in the primetime match, which I can understand that. But if that's the case, then you need to plan it that way from the beginning. I mean, the fact in itself, Rob St. Clair, that one of the teams is going to get one of the teams in the finals is going to get a day off before their semifinal and the playing in a final, rather than one of the other teams has to play 3 straight, is kind of wild.
It's completely imbalanced competitively. It's not a sound competitive format to have that schedule. Now, I know this year was hard for Volleyball World and the FIVB with the very, very condensed schedule, but think of the athletes for one time ever. Or even if you're not going to think about the athletes, because clearly they're not going to do that, but think about the quality of your tournament. Think about the quality of your product. Did this produce a good semifinal match? Poland versus Italy? No, that match sucked. And there was nothing that Poland could do about it. It's completely not their fault. They were dealt a hand that they had to play a very good team less than 24 hours after expending an insane amount of energy to beat an amazing team in 5 sets. And then they turned around the day after that and did it again, a 5-set win over another really good team to win bronze. Like, what more could you ask from Poland without 2 starters?
This was a consistent problem throughout this VNL, right? Like Namir did an interview with us about the same thing, about, hey, like we played yesterday like in the evening, and now we're playing here at 11 a.m. Like we don't even get 24 hours between games. Like, you know, it happened to my Canadian women. We had to play back like a 5-setter, and then had to play the Dutch first thing in the next game, in the most crucial game in our quad, right? And that sucks. There's the scheduling on this. There needs to be some ruling that you can't start a game less than 24 hours in the previous one. Like,
Agreed.
this is international competition.
Yeah, this is
that's an absolute joke, right? And if you can't do it, then you add another day to the competition.
Right. You
right.
have to.
Then you add another day in between the semifinals, right? I think U Sports men's volleyball did that this year, and it produced the best final we've had in my time in volleyball, because we're not trying to cram 3 games in a row, right? That's ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous for a final. Let's be better on that.
Yeah, we got to be better on that one. Great tournament from Poland. I completely agree with you. They are totally a medal contender in Paris, especially like we saw them in person in Arlington. We saw the level of control that Joanna Volos has when the ball's in her hands, and just the technician, in addition to the physicality of Magdalena Stysiak on the right side, is really remarkable. And they're going to get their starting libero, Stenzel, back, we assume. And they're going to get a very good outside hitter piece in Ruzhansky back. Whether she starts or not, I guess that's up to Lavarini. But I thought Chernyanska was good. Lukasik was really good. I thought Menjik had a really good tournament. I really like Jurczyk down Jurczyk in the middle. You made the reference in the Discord that she's like female Kochanowski, and you're spot on.
She's small. She's really fast laterally. She closes that block really well. She hits that first tempo ball really quickly, right out of the hands of Voloj, and she's there. She's on time. She's really good with her feet. I really like seeing her in. Obviously, she kind of fades into the background compared to Lethal Barbie, and everyone knows how much we love her. She is the best. But getting to see Jurczyk in person was very much a revelation.
Yep, very impressive. Good job, Poland. And honestly, Everett, the tournament that Brazil had to go 12-0 in the preliminary round, they earned themselves the free quarterfinal against Thailand. Then to not medal, normally I would clown on that if you told me that result. But honestly, Brazil didn't play a single bad match in 15 matches the entire VNL.
No,
neither their semifinal loss to Japan nor their bronze medal match loss to Poland. Neither of those were bad games. They really weren't. They lost close 5-setters in both, and they have demonstrated a level of consistency and balance that reminds me of Brazil for the first time in kind of a couple years. I think this team has an identity back. I think a lot of it comes from settling upon Roberta Ratsky as a starting setter, and getting the wing trio of Gabi, Ana Cristina, and Rosa Maria.
Well, actually, Rob, it's actually been more Julia Bergman.
Yeah, so we saw Bergman in the bronze medal game quite a bit.
And we saw, because Rosa Maria was struggling, so then they saw her with Bergman, and it was the same thing in the semifinal too. Bergman was second in scoring for Brazil in this one with 17 points, with Gabi leading in 21, and that, honestly, that to me is one of the biggest things for Brazil. Is not only do you have that trio with Rosa Maria and Ana Cristina, obviously Gabi being the centerpiece, but now the fact that you have a younger Julia Bergman who's able to come off the bench and shoulder a little bit of that load.
Position.
At either position.
Both positions, right? Exactly.
So you're at, like, this Brazil team is looking lethal, right? This, I think they have to be medal favorites. Not favorites, but medal contenders. I don't think they're medal favorites right now, Rob.
Yeah, I don't think there are either. There are
at the beginning of this season, I was like, Turkey's the number one team in the world, and now Turkey is definitely not. Like, I still think they have the ability to win gold, no doubt about it, but it's not going to be as easy as it was once thought.
Totally agree. The dream team was named, as it always is at a Volleyball World event. Usually a thing that we like to clown on, but honestly, this one's pretty good. I think this one is pretty spot on. I really would like to see them move to an 8-person dream team instead of 7. I really prefer 8 when you have like the 7 players, 1 per position, and then the MVP is in addition to that and can be at any position. I think that's a little bit better of a representation. But anyway, I think this was a good list. Paula Egonu was the best opposite and the MVP, obviously. Alessia Oro was the best setter. Miriam Silla and Serena Koga were the best outside hitters. Lethal Barbie and Sarah Farr were the best middle blockers, and Manami Kojima was the best libero. even though she was like splitting time a little bit with Fukudome in the third and fourth sets of the final, whatever. I think she was.
Kojima like runs that team.
She does.
Once again,
Does.
I think she's the number one bullier of Manabe because she's the one who talks the most during the timeouts. I don't know what she's saying. I would love to know what she's saying. Can we like petition this to Volleyball World that we get some type of translator? Like if we're on English broadcast, if we're gonna sit in on a non-English language timeout, give us some type of translation, right? I can turn on translation automatically on YouTube, and it's like 80% correct. Let's just apply the same filter to the VNL. Otherwise, I don't want to sit there and listen to on an English broadcast. Once again, I understand that if you're doing a production, you're sending it to multiple people, but on the English broadcast, our commentator shouldn't sit there. Let's listen into this timeout. I don't understand Japanese.
The one that really gets me is like when the commentators after that in a language that neither of them understand are like, hey,
what do you think is being said?
Hey, what did you get out of that? What do you think is being said there? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Man. This is a good dream team. Good job, Volleyball World. This is a good list.
Yeah. I mean, the one concern I saw in the Discord about this was Sarah Farr, and
dude, I looked at it. Her and Denesi is a complete coin flip, especially as you're talking about just the finals.
But just the finals, I thought Sarah Farr was way better. Like she was all over the court. She had better stats, better numbers. She was getting so many touches. Like her ability, like her and Agonu blocking in that in that second set.
Yeah,
like really dominated. I think I got that wrong earlier, but it really dominated. So yeah, I think this one was actually an A+ by Volleyball World.
Agreed. Totally agree. So retrospective for the final, I mean, the quarterfinal round, we don't need to talk about at all, except that Poland-Turkey game, which we kind of already mentioned. I do want to look at the numbers from that a little bit because it was an all-time epic game. That blocking run that Poland went on in the fifth, just a million from Lethal Barbie, and some of the stare downs, a little bit of the trash talk, a little bit of the spice that we saw there is awesome. Awesome. Great entertainment. Women's volleyball needs so much more of that. I want teams to not like each other. I want players on opposing teams to not like each other. It's way more fun when that happens. And it was especially cool to me to see Lavarini coaching Poland with Magdalena Stysiak, who he had on the bench this season in Fenerbahce, beating Melissa Vargas, who he had starting in Fenerbahce, who helped win them a title. And Vargas, amongst many others, getting absolutely clamped by Lethal Barbie, amongst others, in that run in the fifth set. That was electrifying. Volleyball was so much fun to watch.
What I really liked too about it, Rob, was Magdalena Stysiak, because she had a rough game. She had 10 errors in this one, but they were mostly early on, and she was able to come back on and really, especially in that fifth set, like turn things around for herself. Like, her performance. Getting to see her in person really changed a lot in terms of my thinking about her. Getting to see how she moves and how she plays the game was eye-opening, but her performance this year has continued. Like, if she goes to another damn club next year and sits on the damn bench and splits time with someone, I'm gonna scream. Like what is she doing? She's just way too elite to be wasting time on any damn bench.
I agree. I totally agree. But I will say, having the Venerska and Smartsek double sub opportunity for Poland is a really nice look. It is a really nice look.
Especially, Rob, since there's a lot of Polish fans coming into the season who thought that their offense ran smoother with Venerska over Volosh, which I know is a little bit insane. But insane. Like that just means that there's quality coming in on the back end too, right?
Right. Yeah. There you can never trust me, never take a quality backup setter and a quality backup opposite for granted. A lot of teams would really love to have both those players. We don't need to talk about Thailand. We don't need to talk about China's B team. I do want to talk about the United States a little bit. I don't really care that we got 3-0 by Italy. We didn't have Jordan Poulter. We didn't have Catherine Plummer. This team does have a bit to figure out, though. The Olympic roster has been named. It was named before week 3, but I still didn't really see any steps taken to assist in defining roles. I still don't think there's a whole lot of role clarity on this USA women's team yet, especially with how much we saw Lauren Carlini week 3 and then in the final in Poulter's absence. But like, if you're when you name your Olympic team, any competition chances you have thereafter, that is what you have to be doing, is defining roles. You have to be figuring that out. And I think that the U.S. women may have even taken a step back in that area after like 5 matches that they played after naming the Olympic team, like 4 in week 3 and then 1 in the final. I think there's a little bit more confusion about whose job is what. And that's something they're going to have to go back to the gym in Anaheim and figure a lot of those things out, because there can be no question marks at all about whose job is what when first serve happens in Paris. No confusion at all.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, everyone needs to be on the same page, right?
Right.
Even if there's decisions that are coming down to like right before game time, then everyone needs to be on the same page, and that's up to Karch to communicate that, right? As soon as like even if we want to go back to like the Italy situation from last year, as soon as one person starts feeling a little bit salty, and generally that only happens when there's a lack of communication, right? Like it's really hard to feel salty when someone comes up to you and be like, look, this is the decision we've made. I know you probably might not agree with it. I know like we want you to feel like you should be out there, but this is the decision we made, that you asked to respect it. Like if you're an athlete and you're asked that of you, if you say no, then like get the fuck off this team. Right. Like you don't belong to be on this team. So for me, it has to have that communication, whether it's 5 minutes before the match or whether it's like in the athlete's village or maybe it's leading up to it. Right. Otherwise, that cancer is going to start to grow. And I think the biggest thing for this Team USA, this particular team, is just their belief, right? Is if they can all be on the same set of belief systems and on the same mindset, this team can go as far as it wants to go.
Agreed. I think that the USA women kind of wrote the book on Olympic level team psychology 3 years ago. Like that gold medal that they won, especially with it being in the bubble and all the crazy like extra circumstances that there were in that tournament, that was a mental victory just as much as it was a physical one. And it's good. It's a good resource and good experience that this team has to fall back on, having done that before. But it doesn't get any easier because I think that at best, the USA women kind of stagnated in the last 3 years. I think they took a huge step down in 22 and 23 before starting to climb back up a little bit this year. But everybody else in the world compared to 2021 is so much better. Every other major team in the world on the women's side is better than they were 3 years ago. And that should be something that scares the United States women a little bit. Have they gotten better than 3 years ago, or are they just trying to be the same team?
So. Yeah. But I mean, they for all intents and purposes, they are.
Exactly.
Right? There's not that much change. Man, our chat is going wild. Apparently, it's bullying if you like cheer through the net after some big plays. Get over your guys.
Get over yourselves. Get over yourselves.
Okay, let's be clear, very, very, very clear. Volleyball is soft. Volleyball is a soft,
especially on the women's
sport.
side. Especially on the women's side.
I want to see yelling through the net. I want to see taunting. I want to see that talking. Hell, if we can have two players who are face to face through the net, staring each other down, I'd love that. I'd love that. A little bit of yelling through the net against possibly one of your biggest rivals in a massive match in the VNL quarterfinals is 100% valid. Hell, it's expected. So if you're out here being like, oh, Everett Karakut is a bully. Oh, Korneluk is mean. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Become a proper sports fan.
And not to mention, I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump on Peter's back. The Turkish fans are saying this? Our Turkish fans are out here saying that this is disrespectful? Shut up. You guys are great fans, but shut up. You guys lost, right? Your team isn't as good as everyone thought. They are mortal. Okay? Shut up, take your L, and be better at the Olympics.
Preach it. Preach it, my friend, Mr. Delorme. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. This is sports, baby. This is sports, and this is going to be as competitive as an Olympics as ever, with everything on the line.
Oh,
and
shut up, bad sportsmanship.
If you don't want players to act like there's something on the line, act like they care, act like it matters to them, don't watch. Don't watch. We'll watch. We'll enjoy the hell out of it as it gets a little chippy. That's what sports are all about. These people who are saying they clearly have never played sports ever.
None.
Like, they've clearly never been in these moments themselves.
None, right? And unfortunately, I feel like, and this is not to call out maybe our fan base, but I do think that is a lot of volleyball people, right? There's not a lot of like in a lot of other sports, you play a lot of other sports. There's a lot of volleyball people who only played volleyball, right? And it's a great sport, and we love the fact that you've come to it maybe later in life. But hey, it's a competitive sport, and it means a lot to these players, right? I literally just watched a clip while I was pooping before this show, because there's a big hockey game after the show, so I can't have any Pavlov response after this. But I was watching a clip of Joe Burrow being like, "We should be allowed to taunt in the NFL. We're grown men. Let us taunt."
Right.
They're grown women. Let them play the game. Right.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else about the VNL finals, Everett? I will say the crowd in Bangkok was awesome. The organization and the execution in Bangkok was a little bit less awesome. We saw a rogue buzzer in the VNL finals, unacceptable. We saw a lighting delay, I think before set 3 or 4, I can't remember which. Got to figure some of that stuff out. But again, back to the scheduling piece, there is no universe ever where it should be acceptable to play the VNL finals the week after week 3. Even if everybody is in that part of the world, because they were coming from Japan and Hong Kong. I don't care. There is no way that teams should be playing matches on Sunday and then playing a VNL finals match on Thursday. That is not acceptable. And it's going to be even worse for the men, because there will be teams that just played in the Philippines on Sunday, and they're going to be playing a VNL final in Poland on Thursday. That is not acceptable. That can never happen again. I don't care what's going on with the rest of the calendar. I don't care how much money we're trying to squeeze out of these tournaments. That scheduling is not acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of begs the question: is like, as much as I love VNL, like nonstop
what
volleyball
are we doing
for a month, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right? Italy doesn't China doesn't send their A team to the finals because it doesn't matter to them. Italy men are doing the exact same thing too, right? Like Serbia didn't even send their top women, their top women's team, right? Like they literally don't. It doesn't matter to them that they dropped that far down in the standings. So we really need to take a good hard look at the VNL and try to understand what the importance of it is.
Totally agree. All right, let's move on to something I'm very excited to unveil. A great piece of work that's been facilitated by one of our Discord members. Shout out to our Turkish friend Rodman's Hair throughout the entirety of VNL, but he went above and beyond for after the tournament to compile all of the Volleyball Source Discord's opinions on some final awards for the entirety of the tournament. This is including the preliminary round only. And I really like this. I think this is something that all leagues should have and that Volleyball World should have, because like in American leagues, for example, like all of your major awards are regular season awards. Like the MVP, the all league teams, all that stuff, those are regular season awards. Then you have your VNL Finals Dream Team, like we talked about. That is a VNL Finals specific award. I really like having like a bigger body of work award for the entire league. So this is really good stuff that's been put together by our Discord community. We appreciate it very much. So Everett, hit us with some of those superlatives. And then they went as far as to name a first team, a second team, and a third team for the entire preliminary, which awesome work by our community.
And once again, we have no part of this. We're not influencing it. I don't even like, with VNL going on and as busy as everything, like I don't have a lot of time to like just sit in the Discord. I kind of miss it. I hope we get a chance to be able to do that soon too. But yeah, so big shout out to Rodman's Hair. Really appreciate you like spearheading this and doing this. But best team of the VNL for the preliminary women, Brazil going undefeated.
Oh, no. Yep.
Kind of a no-brainer. Biggest disappointment, I mean, I get the sentiment. I really do. I'm going to disagree with this because we weren't like, in terms of our play in the preliminary round, we weren't that much of a disappointment, right? We weren't a Serbia or like a Dominican Republic or like a Germany like team that just really didn't do well. But 100%, Canada is also my biggest. The Canadian women are also my biggest disappointment this year. I've been over it.
I think you talked about it well on the show you did last week. I think the word disappointment is key. It's not like biggest failure. It's not like worst performance. Like,
if there's one team that is the most disappointed after this VNL preliminary phase, it is absolutely my Canadian team.
Exactly, and I think that's the spirit of this particular quote unquote award, because it was awarded very much the same way on the men's side, and we'll talk about that later, but you can certainly guess who that is. And then biggest surprise was Brazil going undefeated. Again, this is according to the Volleyball Source community. Everett and I had no part in this, But I agree. I did not expect Brazil to go undefeated.
No,
not at all.
That was a big that was a really a big move for them. So really like that. Don't think we need to talk about it that much. Most memorable moment: Canada reverse sweeping Olympics to keep their reverse sweeping Japan to keep our Olympic hopes alive. I thought that was
epic game.
All-time epic game. You can make the argument as well that maybe we should have thrown in the towel earlier and just kind of thrown it in once, we had gotten to a certain amount of sets. But it is what it is. That will be my Olympics for this team, coming in and beating Japan in that way was great to see. But what happened afterwards, not so much.
Yeah, not so much. You did a really good job on the solo show, by the way, just talking about the whole process and the perspective and what are you saying? Bye.
Someone in the chat says Santa leaving forever because
yeah, see ya. Bye. Thanks.
You can't snap at us. I absolutely can. That
thanks
wasn't
for
even
coming.
a snap.
Yeah, you haven't seen us. Yeah, see you later. Bye. Thanks for watching. Best match: China versus Turkey and Hong Kong. I did not watch that match, so I can't really confirm. I saw it was a 5-set banger, so I assume it was good if the Discord agrees, but didn't watch any of that. But Turkey versus the United States in Arlington was an honorable mention. I do agree that match was awesome. That 5th set was insane. Even though my team lost, that match was awesome.
Yep, absolutely. As once again, our favorite award, the Davide Mazzante Award for Excellence in Studre, goes to the Chinese staff and Kai Bin. Although I think, I understand the sentiment. I do think that China really improved, like towards the end, like their last week of VNL. They went perfect and they beat Turkey and Poland. I talked about it on my solo show last week. Sure, deciding not to send your B team is a bit of maybe an L in some senses, but
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
No, I don't think it is either.
I think that it's kind of a good move, and it's also kind of a bit of a middle finger in the direction of volleyball world, telling them like, this VNL final does not matter to us. Here is how we will prove that it does not matter to us. We straight up don't care. Now, it does help that geographically, China is a heck of a lot closer to Thailand and could logistically do this and kind of make it worth it for themselves. Like, it's the same thing that Italy is doing in Poland. Like, Italy was just playing in Slovenia on the men's side. They were just in Slovenia. They're flying up to Poland. Real quick trips for them. They can send a B team, go play one match, lose, come home. Not that big of a wasted time or anything for them. But like if it was the US, for example, that like went all the way to Bangkok just to play a B team and lose and then fly 16 hours across the world, I think it's a little bit different. But I do kind of think that some of these choices that some federations have made, the Serbian women are a great example, should be looked at long and hard in the FIVB offices about what are we really doing here at this tournament.
Absolutely, and I think maybe if maybe it's the case, if you want to do it, maybe the VNL shouldn't be weighted as heavy it is in the world rankings. But that's not really conversations for us. Right. Coming up now, breakout player Hannah Kurtagic.
I assume. If I know a little bit.
We did. So we did get to see her play a little bit in Arlington. She's a U21 player who is absolutely lighting it up for the Serbian B team.
Okay, is she a middle? I think she's a middle.
I believe she might be.
Yeah, she might be a middle. I'm looking at the stat sheet from the Turkey match when they took a set from them. Yeah, she's a middle. Couldn't pick her out of a lineup. So good for you, Discord community, for choosing this. But I actually might have picked that Bulgarian girl, Nikolova, the lefty.
Yeah,
she was pretty impressive for a bad team. I think she could be good in the future. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's my pick. MVP Gabi Guimarães, love it. Great choice. Best receiver on planet Earth, even amongst liberos. Her reception numbers are an absolute joke. It's crazy. Go look at them. Go look at any Brazilian stat sheet. Look at Gabi's passing numbers. She changes everything about the way opposing teams have to serve strategically because of how amazing she is in reception. It's incredible. And then she can obviously score some points too.
Yeah, she can also lead it. All right, looking around at the first team for the preliminary round, we have Roberta Ratsky, the setter from the Brazilian women, leading the way. Can't really disagree with that. Gabby Guimarães and Li Ying Ying on the outside. Can't really disagree with that either. Melissa Vargas, who led the entire thing in scoring. Can't disagree with that.
Nope.
Camilla Weitzel and Wang Yuan.
I was a little surprised by that one because Wang is definitely their second middle. Like Yuan Jinwei is their, I think, pretty widely regarded as the better of the two middles, but I think she got a second team nod from the community. I guess Wang had a really good tournament. Good for her.
Once I felt this for the women's side, especially because half of the weeks were in Asia. Like three of the 6 weeks were in Asia. It was just really difficult for me to watch, especially like with all of the travel that we were doing and working, still working another job. So it was really tough. So once again, real big shout out to the community for being out here and watching so many matches and putting in an informed decision.
Yeah, these lists are better because we did not choose them, because these people who chose this watched way more than we did. Monica De Gennaro was the first team libero, great pick. Zé Roberto was the first team coach, great pick. They went 12-0. I'll go through the second and third teams really quickly, and we can move on. All preliminary round second team. Joanna Volos was the setter. Serena Koga and Anna Cristina were the outsides. Magdalena Stisiak the opposite. Yuan Jinwei and Anna Carolina were the middles. Naeem was the libero, and Lavarini was the coach. I like that pick too.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all. All right, and then for the third team, we had Alessia Oro as a setter, Alexa Gray and Natalia Medzrik. How do we pronounce that one? Menjik.
Yeah, that's like the E with the little tail is a weird letter. Kind of ends up sounding like Menjik. Polish people, let me know if I'm way off. Yeah, she was good. I had never heard of her before this summer. No,
she's absolutely solid. The opposite to Lukashik. Love that as well.
Yeah.
Kier Van Rijk as the opposite. Lethal Barb and Anna Denisi as middle blockers. Third team. Okay. Interesting.
Korneluk didn't play week 2, to be fair. So
she did.
I think that makes sense.
Shiglowska.
That's a tough one too, man.
Shiglowska, and then Velashko.
Yeah, man, I think you could have considered putting. Now I forgot this is a preliminary round only award. Yes. Velasco did win the tournament. All right, before we move on to the men's side, Everett, I have a couple takes, just a couple things about the Olympics, because you talked about it on your show. What did you do it on Wednesday? About the women's field is set, the pools are drawn, and we're not going to dig into this yet because we're going to do a whole lot of Olympic specific dedicated coverage, especially once all the rosters come out. It'll be easier to kind of synthesize it all once that happens. I wanted to express my just sadness that Canada didn't qualify. I really think that they would have made the field better than the Netherlands. I think Everett, you did a great job about showing respect to the Netherlands.
They deserve it.
Yeah, I mean they beat you head to head, and they deserved that win. Are they a better participant in the Olympic field than Canada would have been? I would say no.
I agree with that.
I don't think that the Netherlands, as here we look at the pools, the Netherlands are in Pool C with Italy, Turkey, and the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic is a huge wild card, but I don't think the Netherlands scares a single team in that pool or really in the entire Olympics.
I think every team in the Olympic field sighed a breath of relief when it was in Canada, because the Dutch don't have an Alexa Gray or a Kier Van Rijk.
That's right.
They don't have a Brie King. Like, Canada is a team on the up. So yeah, I fully think so. But once again, like, the Dutch won their spot fair and square, and I've never once doubted or debated that. It was once again one of the hardest volleyball games I've ever had to watch.
Yeah, they did. They won their spot fair and square, and I'm not discounting that at all. I'm just saying that I think that Canada would have been a better participant in the Olympic field. I think Canada's ability to beat better teams than them is much, much higher. I think their chances to steal games and really have an impact on the Olympics would have been way higher than the Netherlands. The Netherlands is an afterthought in this Olympic field. They're a complete afterthought. I wouldn't be surprised if they took 4th in their pool. They will not be a contender in the grand scheme of things in any way. And I wouldn't have said the same thing about Canada. I think Canada could have easily stolen 1, maybe 2 games. Let's say it was this same pool. If Canada had gotten put in this same pool in the Netherlands spot, I think they would have been a huge favorite to beat the Dominican Republic. And we have seen them steal games, sets, and sometimes even matches from teams like Italy and Turkey. It would have been more competitive if Canada had made it, but they did not. The Netherlands got in fair and square. I'm just saying that I think the Olympic field is slightly worse because of that result.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk about it anymore because it still hurts my heart.
Right.
To be perfectly honest, I think I wrapped it up nicely and it was actually kind of nice. The only thing that I liked about that show alone, Rob, was that part. Is that I was able to just like soliloquize on my own for it. Not that you wouldn't have given me the space if you were to do it.
Nice vocab word there.
Buddy, I have a vocabulary, okay?
What, in French?
In both languages. But yeah, it was very tough. And but overall, we talked about it a little bit. I love the disposition of these pools. I don't know if that's the right word, but
that's the other thing I was going to say. This is a perfect pool draw. And the reason why it's a perfect pool draw is because we got the great equalizer that the tournament needed in Serbia being drawn into France's pool. It was so important for the tournament that happened. There was a 1 in 3 chance that happened, that Serbia's epic tank was negated by them being the 4 seed in the 1 seed France's pool, because France legitimately is a 4 seed caliber team and Serbia is a 1 seed caliber team. So the tournament is good, and we got a very fortunate draw for the sake of the tournament that Serbia's epic tank through VNL didn't upset the Olympic draw.
No,
and it did not. It's perfect. It's literally a perfect draw the way that we got it. I think like Brazil, Poland, Japan, awesome. All 3 of those games, awesome.
And what I really like about that pool too is because they all have the ability to beat up on Kenya, and so I think there's a very high probability that one of the 3rd place teams, because once again it's going to be the 6 first and second place teams and the top 2 3rd place teams that move on to the quarterfinals at the Olympics. We're getting into, but I really like their chance to do that. Even if they all beat up each other and then beat up on Kenya too.
Yeah, I could see a 3-way tie at 2-1. I could see them those 3 teams in Pool B beating each other in a triangle. That would be sick. China, United States, and full strength Serbia. That's going to be awesome in Pool A as well. And then Italy, Turkey A, full strength Dominican Republic, and whatever the Netherlands does. Like, these pools are great.
Awesome.
They're great. And with this format of the Olympic qualification process, it was a long process. It got us this. This is the best Olympic field ever. It is the best Olympic field ever. It has the most Olympic caliber teams ever. There are the only team that is thanks for participating tier is Kenya.
Yep.
And on the men's side, it's even better because of how good France is
and how good Egypt is.
And right, that's right. Yeah, the Egyptian men are better than the Kenyan women. So the format of this qualification process that has produced these pools right here that we're going to have a month to talk about. This is the best Olympic field in the history of the volleyball tournament at the event. I love it.
Can't disagree with that at all. All right. Well, moving forward to something that has kind of grown. It's kind of grown. We're in a bit of a different situation with this whole "where's Daddy" thing in the last time.
Look up there. Look up there.
There we go. So, if I may, Rob,
please,
because this is the first time that you and I have even really chatted and seen each other since Ottawa, because you had to run off to do VLA. You went to Italy. I've been working like a dog. We just haven't really been able to connect much. But obviously, if you're a part of this community, you know that Rob was gifted Daddy Stankovic jersey, which at first I was like, oh great, Mar got someone to buy one from him. But when he thanked Vlad Daviskiba, that led me to believe, Rob, that is actually a authentic Modena Daddy Stankovic jersey, which is
I very much think the same thing.
Which is big shout out to Stephen Marr. I need to get my Stephen Marr jersey up on the wall.
Yeah, you do.
As well. But the big thing for me, Rob, was after you left, on Sunday night. We're all at the bar. We're at local.
Of course,
And
as is tradition,
because it's the only bar open in that area. And as I'm going to the bathroom, the Serbian guys are all in the back, and they wave me over. And we got Antanasievich. He's like, "Are you okay in the head? Like, are you mental?" And you've got Kodashchanin, who's like telling me about how Stankovic's wife is now calling him daddy. Like, they were so aware of what was going on. Like I think we may have entered into like the volleyball world like zeitgeist with this one, and I absolutely love it.
Man, somebody asked me once I posted the video about me receiving the Daddy Stankovic jersey during the Holt and Averill interview, which is an all-timer, by the way. You have to go watch that whole thing. I was asked, like, when and why did we even start kind of low-key worshiping Daddy Stankovic? And I don't know the answer.
No. There's definitive moments where I can remember us like calling Micheletto the unicorn or Slivka the snake. You know, there's different nicknames that we've developed throughout time. But Daddy for Stankovic, I have no idea when and where we started using that.
Me neither, but now we know that our Mr. Stankovic himself is aware. We know, apparently, according to you, through Marco Pedrashinin, that his wife is referring to him as daddy. This thing has taken on a whole nother life, and let's just say we're very excited to see where it goes. But this is the first time in so long that I have been able to facilitate the Where's Daddy game. And
what is the last time we played
I couldn't even find it. I was looking through our last couple episodes. I was looking through all of my assets, and I literally couldn't even find where and when the last time I hid Daddy was. So we're starting fresh. Like, we're gonna get it out to you all.
It's got to be literally before the VNL, because that's the last time we did. That's the last time we did a show like this.
Like after Women's Week 1, I think. Like over a month ago.
Yeah. It would have been Men's Week 1 for Men's Week 1, because Women's Week 2 we were in Arlington.
Yeah, that was, I meant after Women's Week 1, because after Men's Week 1 we were in Arlington. It's been a minute. So anyway, this is the Where's Daddy segment. We started it as innocuous because it's very funny for me to Photoshop Daddy Stankovic's face on one of our assets in the middle of the show, and for y'all to try and find him. But now it reaches further than that, but we're not taking away from the spirit of the segment. So keep an eye out for all the graphics that are in the middle of the show during this episode. If you spot this beautiful man, if you see him, your job is to note the timestamp in the video of where Daddy was and comment that timestamp in the main YouTube comment section after the live stream is over. If you do that, you will get a shout out the following week. You will get special recognition. It's been so long since we've done this that I have no idea who the last person to find Daddy was. So I apologize, but we're starting. You better keep your eyes out.
We're going to be back on our normally scheduled bullshit, and to be honest, probably a lot more over the next little bit.
We hope so. So keep an eye out for Daddy. If you find him, do not put it in the live chat. Wait until the stream is over and comment the timestamp of where you find him in the main YouTube comment section. We've had some very good ones over the years. Sometimes I get creative about where Daddy is hidden. Sometimes I just put him on someone else's shoulders, but you got to keep your eyes out. If you find him, look for your opportunity to get a shout out next week.
All right, Rob, let's move forward to the men's side, where before we do anything, I'm just going to fucking gloat, okay? Because my boys went 4-0 in the Philippines. Okay,
it was very impressive.
And now there's a lot of you out there being like, "Oh, Canada needed Bulgaria's help. Canada needed Daddy Sokolov," which we now know. If you watch our interviews from Ottawa, we now know how important Sokolov is to the Canadian team. He is respected appropriately. But Indeed. Guess what? It doesn't matter if Bulgaria helped us. Because guess what? If Belgium had beat Bulgaria, we still would be going to the Olympics, baby. We still would have qualified. We still finished in front of Serbia and Cuba and all of those other teams, right? And we didn't even need to beat the Dutch at the end. So, love you. But yeah, going back to the end of the VNL, I kept it a little succinct this time. You know, I didn't feel like I needed to go
I
in
loved
on
that.
in on it too much. I don't even need to mention the fact that we beat Japan twice in less than a week, both women and men.
Sure did. Sure did.
But yeah, it's awesome for me when Canada just won 4 games in 1 week, when last year we won 3 in the entirety of the VNL.
That's right.
Last year we went 9-3 in the VNL. This past week we went 4-0. So you love it.
I love that too. So the finals for the VNL is set. It is Slovenia of all teams that finishes in first place after a 4-0 week at home in Ljubljana. A couple goofy 5-setters in there, but Slovenia's had an insane tournament. Poland went 4-0 in week 3. Italy finished 3rd and now will punt the VNL final, which is crazy. Japan went 3-1 down in the Philippines. Canada was insane. France was fine. Brazil was not good, and Argentina continues to kind of sleepwalk. But so that is the top 8. This is the bracket. The VNL finals go down starting Thursday in Łódź, Poland. Slovenia versus Argentina. Canada versus Japan again. Poland versus Brazil. France versus Italy's B team. I don't care about any of this. It doesn't matter. The things that matter from week 3 are these. Serbia qualified for the Olympics. They are in the last spot. And Cuba's run is over. And Robert Landry Simone retires from the national team, having never represented his country at the biggest stage.
That's tough, Rob. And watching, you know what the second hardest volleyball match I had to watch this week was
that
watching
Cuba
sweep.
Oh my god.
Was just Cuba just fully crumble against Serbia. And now I can't, like, my Canadian team did the exact same thing a week before in Ottawa. Like, we just absolutely laid an egg against Serbia. And I know just how there's something about, and Serbian volleyball has always kind of been like this. There's something about their pride that once they get going and once they start yelling at each other and once they just start absolutely wrecking balls from the baseline, they're very, very hard to stop. And they were sleepwalking through those first 2 sets. Cuba was hard early, and then Serbia had that change of mentality. And Cuba just really never had the ability to bounce back at all, and it was tough to watch.
It was tough to watch. You talked about it a little bit last week on the show that you did because it was right after that game. I watched this game. I blocked off everything that I was doing in Italy during my vacation to watch Cuba versus Serbia, and that was one of the toughest matches I've ever seen. You talked about it last week, but after that positive block touch that Cuba got, I don't remember the scoreline, but basically a free ball chance, and they did not set Robert Landry Simone the ball. What almost made me
they could have tied it up at that point too in the 5th, right? They could have tied it up at that point in the 5th too, and that was really tough. And then the next play too, serve receive, they're pretty much in system, like one step away. You
Lopez
don't run
out of bounds down the line. Yeah, crazy, just crazy. And I'll talk about Serbia first. I've said it many times throughout this quad, or this abbreviated quad. Everett, you've agreed with me. The 2010s decade, Serbia was awesome. When you and I were both first getting into volleyball, Serbia was awesome. In 2008, Serbia was awesome. It was Marko Pedrašin's first tournament. It was Daddy Stankovic. It was Ivan Milkovic. They gave the USA a damn good match in the quarterfinal of that tournament, and we beat them, but on our way to winning gold. But like, that Serbia team was sick. Serbia again went to the Olympics in 2012. They were really, really good. That was the beginning of Alexander Atanasijevic becoming a world-class opposite. It was when Marko Ivovic was coming onto the scene. Like, those Serbian teams were really good. And then in 2016, Serbia was legitimately one of the best teams in the world. They won the World League in 2016. They won a Eurovolley either 15 or 17. I don't remember which.
17.
But they didn't qualify for the 2016 Olympics because the system was so skewed towards continents that the teams in Europe got completely screwed, because Europe's by far the deepest continent, and there were not enough spots allotted for the good teams that there were, and Serbia missed out. That sucked. That was bad for the Olympic field. And remember who made it in 2016 that didn't deserve to be there? It was Cuba. Cuba played in the Olympics in 2016 with none of their prominent players because of everything.
Well, I mean, even less than none, because not only were none of their stars there, but if you remember what happened to Cuba in
I remember
2016,
it quite well.
that Cuban team beat Canada to be able to qualify. That was another one of the toughest games I ever had to watch at home too. But then a lot of their starters ended up getting arrested in Finland that year for stuff that, and were literally in jail in Finland during the Olympics. So yeah, Cuba sent a terrible team that year.
Yeah, and so they qualified for the Olympics. Cuba qualified in 16 when they did not deserve it. Serbia deserved it and didn't qualify. I can't help but feel like the inverse is happening here. This Serbian team, like you said, it still has that Serbian identity with the physicality that has the potential to just unleash itself and be like uncontrollable, especially from the baseline. Like we saw that Pavle Peric service run against the Netherlands in Ottawa, Everett, that you got those 3 incredible clips of those 3 aces in a row. And and the tournament that Luberic had was remarkable too. He was by far their best player. So and then Marko Petrashinin is an all-time legend. He's one of the best middle blockers of all time. So like there are players that on Serbia that deserve to go to the Olympics, but similar to the Dutch women, I don't think that this Serbian team adds very much to the Olympic field. They're so easy to beat. They're so easy to beat because they're not strong mentally and they have zero attention to detail. This is a low volleyball IQ team. They have the physicality that in spots can explode and go on runs, but this is a low volleyball IQ team and a team that I do not see as having really any potential of doing damage at the Olympics. Again, they earned the spot fair and square given what the process was. And they did show a lot of mental fortitude down 2-0 against Cuba to come back and beat them. But speaking of mental, this Cuban team went through this entire VNL without their starting opposite, Jesus Herrera, without their backup opposite, without one of their backup outside hitters and the 2 Gutierrez brothers, and without Robert Landy Simon for almost the entirety of week 2. But when they went up 2-0 on Serbia, and that game started to go in the opposite direction, this Cuban team unfortunately came up short mentally. They came up short mentally, and it breaks my heart because we got to know so much about Cuba and about Cuban volleyball and about Robert Landy Simon himself when we were in Ottawa. I'm really excited for you all to hear the interview that we did with him, and we wanted more than anything for the sport for him to get to he probably would have borne the flag for Cuba at the Olympics in opening ceremonies had they gone.
It could be possible, yeah.
And the outpouring of love and emotion that Robert Landy himself and all of his teammates have poured out on social media since that loss to Poland yesterday has been nothing short of heartbreaking. That in my opinion, the greatest middle blocker of all time will never get to represent his country at the Olympics. So that sucks. And I think that Cuba would have been a more interesting and more dangerous team, just like the Canadian women. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily as true given how Serbia has turned it on like towards the end. I would tend to agree, but I'm also thinking that might be our bias towards our North friends, our North America friends. We've developed, even though that I feel like there's a tense rivalry between like Canada and Cuba on a levels. Like I've developed so much respect for that team and that country and that program. Just speaking to Ronnie and Haler and Robert Landy, Javier Concepcion, of course. Like just I've seen this team now a lot over the past few years, and it was disappointing. But hopefully a few of those players, because like there's only one team player that's going to be leaving this team, and Michael Sanchez of course too, but he was like a non-factor towards the end.
Right.
And I really hope that those core players and Lopez Yant and Med Guerrejo is really the guy that I was really disappointed with in that final game where he kind of just like floated through. But I really hope that they take that and push that forward, because that is still a young, good, strong Cuban team. And I think qualification kind of opens up a little bit more towards continental stuff and into the next phase. And it'll be easier for Cuba and Canada because the U.S. is
way easier for other North American teams for LA. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks for Robert Landy Simon. I wanted, for the sake of the sport, to see him play in the Olympics, and it's sad that that's not going to happen. But the Cuban team did not earn it this VNL. They were undermanned. They are facing by far the worst federational situation of any team that's even close to the Olympics. It's not even close. The things that, like, we were watching Italy beat Cuba in VNL and Ottawa in person. And I was sitting next to Haler talking to him, like, think about it. If Cuba had the coaching, the training, the statistics, the athletic
they just
staff,
got data volley on
psychology,
their bench.
right?
Like,
if Cuba had the off-court resources that Italy has, or even just, like, not even Italy necessarily.
If Cuba had the off-court resources that Canada has,
yes, right, they would be a
over.
transformationally different team. And I feel sad for Cuba that they came up short in this fashion, but they were mentally not ready to push those several of those 5-setters over the finish line. They just couldn't do it mentally, and it sucks.
Yep, tough to see for sure. Anything else that we want to talk about here from week number 3, Rob?
Well, here is the final world ranking plot from the entire tournament. I've been loosely keeping track of a spreadsheet. There's a link in the description of this video, by the way, for the Google sheet that I've been using to track all this, so you can see it a little bit better. But the final world ranking change and what happened after every week. But just today, I added kind of an overall column to see who gained and lost the most points throughout the duration of the tournament and the most ranking position. A couple things that are worth pointing out. Canada, by far the biggest gainer, 57 points net positive, up 3 spots in the rankings. And I was going to make the point, Everett, that you already made, that even if Canada hadn't qualified last fall, they would have qualified through this VNL because of how good they were. So nobody can say that Canada does not deserve to be there.
I mean, after the way we've played in this preliminary round, like, come on. Right. This team, as Semovuo has really found the ability to make this team believe. And that's really been massive,
It's like very powerful magic.
So love it.
A couple other things. Japan had a very good VNL. They gained 14 points, but more importantly, Japan finishes the preliminary round ranked 2nd in the world. And that means that Japan gets a 1 seed in their pool at the Olympic Games. Japan will be the 1 seed in Pool C. We'll talk about the Olympic draw in a minute. That's getting drawn in 2 days. But look at the margin, Everett. Japan finishes the VNL preliminary round 0.29 points ahead of Slovenia. Slovenia was other than Canada the other huge winner in this VNL. They jumped up all the way to 3rd in the world. They gained 47 points. They finished their preliminary round in 1st, but they missed out on a 1 seed at the Olympics by 0.29 world ranking points.
That is crazy. That's one set. That's one set. That's one set lost throughout the VNL. That's insane. It's great. It's crazy how we have like Japan and Slovenia at the top there right now, just because this VNL. And that's mostly because of 2 teams really not having a good time throughout the VNL. One team losing their starting setter and not really being able to figure things out in Brazil. But is this the time where we talk about your we're talking about the other team that we're not going to talk about is Turkey. They went minus 31. Welcome to the VNL. Yep. You're real lucky that there was no relegation, you and Bulgaria. Hopefully you guys will learn to show a little bit more respect in the future after just winning a Challenger Cup. So thank you very much. I do love your team. I think you guys are great. But ultimately, your fans have talked a lot of smack over the past year. And it was kind of nice to see you struggle a little bit through it. So welcome to the big leagues.
We have a person in our YouTube live chat that's name is Reality Check, and that is exactly what Turkey has just received. So Good for them. This is the time that I talk about the United States. This is the rant that some of you have been waiting to listen to, because the United States men are by far the biggest loser in terms of world ranking points in this VNL. We lost 65 points through 12 matches in this tournament. Now, more than half of that was week 1 when we sent the C team over to Turkey and went 1-3. So the A team lost 26 and change world ranking points in Ottawa and in the Philippines. Fortunately for the United States, Brazil also had a bad second half of the VNL. So we stayed in the top 5, meaning we're going to get drawn out of the second cup in terms of Olympic pools. We'll talk about that in a minute. But being top 5 in this tournament in the rankings going into the Olympics was very important. Somehow, by the grace of God, we hung on to that. But we didn't deserve it. We did not deserve it. This VNL could not have gone worse for the United States men. I was happy with the choice to send the C team week 1. Mm-hmm. I was happy with that choice. Give the Olympians, one of the oldest teams that's going to be in the field, give them 2 more weeks of valuable training at home after a quick turnaround from club, and don't make them fly across the world and back. I thought that was a good decision. Problem is that decision did not pay off at all, because they went to Ottawa and just put up one of the weirdest performances I can remember. It was weird.
If we can, it was tough for the U.S., I feel like, in the Ottawa, because they played against a lackluster Argentina team who just didn't show up in the first game. And then it was a weird game against Italy where they controlled the pace of the game for two sets and then just kind of crumbled at the end. And then played a lack of inspiration against Serbia. And then really came up short against Canada. And since that Canadian game, everything has kind of gone downhill for, I thought it was going to be week 3 was going to be a massive bounce back for the USA.
I thought so,
and it was too. Everything but.
I mean, in Ottawa, we played 4 Olympic teams.
Yeah.
We played Argentina, Italy, Serbia, Canada. All 4 are going to the Olympics. 2-2, not great, but that wasn't what worried me as much as what we saw in week 3. And I'm not just talking about the fact that we lost to Iran, because that was embarrassing to give Iran their first win of the tournament. Iran did get the bump after firing their head coach, which I feel like is universal across all of sports, that
yes,
no matter how
coach,
you win your next game. Yeah, no matter how bad your team is, if you fire your coach, you win your next game. So that loss sucked. What I'm more concerned about for the USA men in week 3 was, what was the plan? What was the plan? What were we trying to accomplish? Aaron Russell and Thomas Jeschke weren't even on the roster. I don't know what the situation is with their injuries. I know Jeschke's been dealing with a shoulder. He was telling me about it in Ottawa, that he took so many damn swings in Japan this club season that it takes his shoulder a long time to get working for a match. So I assume that's what he's dealing with. I don't know what the deal is with Russell. Obviously, that team is transformationally different when you only have DeFalco as an actual real outside hitter, and then you show up with Mongatutia, Ewert, and Kessel. I don't understand what the plan was, though. Why are we even playing Jordan Ewert, Cody Kessel, and Kyle Ensing? Why are those guys seeing court time? They're not on the Olympic team. If we need to go into that week trying to do a couple things, and that's either qualify for the VNL finals, if that was our goal, which Sprout told me in Ottawa that it was. They wanted to go to the Philippines and win enough games to get to the VNL finals. Then they lost to Iran in embarrassing fashion. So that statistically, or mathematically, was pretty much out the window after that point. Then they rebounded and beat Brazil. Okay, great. Brazil in that iteration, beating them in 5 is not really that impressive. But then I just don't understand what they were trying to get out of those last 2 games. What were we trying to get out of that Germany game? And then what were we trying to get out of that Japan game? Was it just to rest the guys and have nobody to get hurt? That's the only thing that I can understand. Otherwise, there is no reason that Cody Kessel, Jordan Ewert, and Kyle Ensing should ever be seeing the court in this VNL. That week gained us nothing. It only gained us having to fly across the world, clearly have a great experience in an all-time awesome fan base in front of the Philippines, which Taylor Averill has been very vocal about saying was amazing. But in terms of getting this team ready for the Olympics, that week was a failure. And sort of this entire VNL, all the plans that were put in place, we gained nothing from this tournament. We gained nothing. Except confusion and indecision and pressure, probably, and bad vibes. I don't know what our plan was. What were we trying to get out of any of this? Whatever it is, I'm really happy that we did not qualify for the VNL finals. It would have been a problem for that team to have had to try to fly to Poland, probably lose our first game because we would have gotten a good team in the first round and then fly back to the States. So it's actually better that we didn't qualify because, again, the VNL final this year completely doesn't matter. I'm more worried about what did this team get out of this tournament in preparation for the Olympics? And the answer to me is nothing. Nothing.
I think if I can play maybe not devil's advocate, but balance things out a little bit. I think that the one benefit about this American team and this roster and how long they've been together is that they have that ability to turn it on, right? Like they're going to have that ability to go to Paris and turn it on. But I fully agree with you. I think there's a lot of question marks around this American team right now. And it is definitely concerning. My biggest question for you, Rob, is how do we feel about Matt Anderson right now? Because this is a man who dominated in Turkey this year, who had a fantastic year for Ziraat Bank. He was good at the Champions League. He was good in their league play. And then he's named as the only opposite for this Olympic team. And throughout this VNL, he has, I don't want to say stunk it up, but
pretty close.
He's kind of stunk it up.
I think by his standards,
100%. And, one of the things that we got a lot of after Canada beat the US is just like, oh, well, they beat their B team. Like, no, Anderson started that game and was 2 for 10 to start that game.
Yeah.
And then it never really got better for him either. 84 points for Matt Anderson throughout all of VNL, right? Just the scoring in general for the USA was so limited.
Yeah. DeFalco was the point scorer in week 3. He had a 30-pointer and a couple other bangers. And so as annoyed as I am about this VNL, because I just don't understand the goal and what we were trying to get, I still think that the United States has a very good chance at the Olympics. I still think that we're a medal contender, and there are a couple reasons why. The first is the schedule. I don't think any team benefits from the Olympic schedule as compared to the VNL schedule more than the United States. Just being older and a little bit less deep, especially at the opposite position, like you mentioned, Everett. The fact that we're going to have guaranteed 1 day off, sometimes 2 days off in between pool play games and never have to travel is a big difference. VNL is really demanding in that way. And I think that it hurt us badly. And I also think that our game plan and our strategy of roster management was quite bad. I ranted on our last show about why the hell are we playing Matt Anderson 3 days in a row in Ottawa in those last 3 games. That made no sense. I hope that just because Anderson's last game that he played, because he didn't play against Japan, his last game against Germany was very good. It was over 40% efficiency. Hopefully he and we can feel good about that going into this next training block. I'm holding out hope for a lot of reasons. Team's damn good. They've proven to be damn good this quad. And I think that this next month between now and Paris is going to be really, really valuable for everybody in the world that's going, but especially the U.S. men. The calendar being what it was, and this team being so old and only getting 8. Well, really, they didn't even get 8 matches together. They really only got 4.
Yeah,
because without Aaron Russell and Thomas Jeschke in week 3, like that team that played in week 3 is completely different. I still don't understand the strategy, but they have had less time with their core together to play real competition than probably any other team in the world. So I think they need this training block badly to figure some things out, and I hope that they will. I really, really hope that they will, because this is the last ride for kind of this generation. I think there's a lot of pressure on that. I think that fact is pretty well known. But I think that there's a lot of learning from the last Olympics that hopefully they can not repeat that level of disappointment. But I do not feel as good about my team as I did coming into the summer. I'll put it that way.
The chat right now, Rob, is begging you to address John Speraw. How do you feel about John Speraw right now?
I just don't understand the plan. He, as the head coach, he has a couple very important jobs. The first is to define roles. The second is to establish a plan. And he's talked to us, Everett, that Speraw himself holds a lot more control over the sort of day-to-day training plan than a lot of other head coaches will. He's told us that in Ottawa before, that he really likes still being in control of the execution of the training plans, both in practice in Anaheim and like pregame and in between games during tournaments. So like everything about the way that we strategize and attack a tournament comes from John Speraw. And the results of this VNL don't matter at all. It's the strategy and what we attempted to get out of this tournament, and the fact that we really got nothing out of it. That's what I'm confused by. And that's where I think that the arrow is pointed at John Speraw, because that's what his job is, is to define roles and to establish structure. And I think it was difficult to define roles when you only had 4 matches with your actual Olympic team, when 2 of your best 3 outside hitters missed week 3. But the establishment of structure was the big swing and a miss here. And I think that just because of the Olympics being so different in structure to the VNL, I still think that we have a good chance to attack that correctly. But we did not attack this tournament correctly.
Do you think that circumstance is kind of what led to that? That just maybe like the situation got out of hand and it was tough to deal with at the end?
It's part of it, but I think a good example is starting Matt Anderson 3 matches in a row in Ottawa. Made no sense. Was never going to be in the long-term benefit of the team. The other thing that I don't understand is, why did we never once start the 3 outside hitters? Why did we never once get a look at what Aaron Russell, Thomas Jeschke, and TJ DeFalco on the court together would look like? Because if Matt Anderson is hurt or bad in Paris, that's what we're going to be doing. So unless the reason is that we didn't want to give those cards away to the field, which Speraw has been very intentional before. Remember in the bubble in VNL 2021 when he was like pushing microphones away in timeouts because he was so concerned about not giving details away pre-Olympics. Unless that's it, unless that's the reason why we didn't see that lineup configuration, we should have seen that lineup configuration. We should have seen that to understand what it is that we could get out of it if necessary. And now we don't know. That's like an example of structure and strategy that we didn't do correctly this tournament.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm fully on board where I have full belief that John Speraw and this United States men's coaching staff and the team in itself can right themselves before the tournament.
I agree.
Right? Like there's no doubt there's no doubt in my mind that Team USA is going to show up and play. Now, do I hope that we're in the same pool at the Olympics and so we can recreate a little bit of a 2016 magic? Absolutely. That would be great.
that would send this channel into all
yes, because you got away so damn lucky in Ottawa. Jill Maher was very mad. Very, very, very mad that you were not around to receive any type of punishment for the spanking my team gave yours. And honestly, Rob, I'm so mad that you missed that match because it was special.
I know.
It was
I would have loved it.
It was magic. You would have been enemy number 1. It would have been
awesome.
It would have been amazing content. It would have been great. Even Speraw came up to me and he was just like, Rob's real lucky you guys didn't bet on this one, eh?
He didn't
God
say A.
damn it.
Don't tell me he said A.
Oh no, I mean
He
probably didn't. That's definitely my add on it.
Yeah, I've picked up a lot of A in my vocabulary since I've been hanging out with you so much.
It's great. It's
nice.
It's the perfect whatever you want to call it. Also, we talked about that 2016 Olympic qualification race where Canada had to go through the back door. Big shout out to a lot of my haters. Canada finished off that Olympic qualifying tournament by beating Japan at home and then China to qualify for the Olympics. So
the Everett haters are getting just massacred during this show. Which
I mean, like we're like, come on, we went 4-0 and we beat Japan. Like this may not happen again, right? Like it is back to 50-50 when we play them in the quarterfinals on Thursday. Like that, I fully expect them to come out full on and swinging, and I love that because I truly think that right now in the world of volleyball, Canada and Japan are kind of maybe at the same spot in certain areas. And yes, but yeah, I love for a 4-5 matchup. I absolutely love it. And I think it's going to be a good game all around. And if we win, I'm going to talk a lot of shit. And if we lose, I'm going to take a lot of the shit talking that I'm going to be getting like a man.
And you know what that is, Everett? It's sports.
It is sports.
It's sports. It's how sports work. It's the beauty of the Volleyball Source Discord, which you also join. So let's talk about the VNL finals. It is the least. It is.
We've talked about that.
Yeah, well, it's because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who wins. Who wins this VNL final has absolutely no bearing on anything. They get a nice little gold medal and they get $1 million cash prize and they get to go home happy. But at the relative to the Olympics, it doesn't matter at all. However, there are still some teams that are taking this seriously. Italy. So on Thursday, the first quarterfinal is Japan versus Canada, followed by Brazil versus Poland. Japan versus Canada is going to be awesome. Brazil versus Poland is going to be a throttling. That will be a donging. There's no way Brazil takes a set in Łódź, and I will go on the record with that right now. Okay. On Friday, first quarterfinal is Italy's B team against France. No Gianelli, no Micheletto, no Lavia, no Romano, no Galassi, no Anzani, no Russo, no Balasso. Complete B team, complete punt from the Italian Federation. They do not care. Congratulations to France on advancing to the semis. That's it.
Yep.
And then Slovenia versus Argentina is after that, which actually could be legitimately really fun because it's kind of like a prove it time. Slovenia, 11-1, amazing VNL, qualified for their first Olympics ever. Argentina, sort of middling VNL, qualified for the Olympics without a whole lot of authority, kind of fell backwards into it. But Argentina has been there before. They won a medal at the last Olympics. Slovenia has never come close to doing that. So I think there's intrigue in that 1 versus 8 game. But
I think there's a lot of intrigue in that 1 versus 8 game. I think that is a potential upset. And upset is just within the context of this VNL, of course. Argentina has been painfully average and Slovenia has been fantastic, but toe to toe, I rank those teams like in the mid 80s for me.
The other part about this VNL final is it is the last time in major competition for coaches to collect data that will help them inform their Olympic roster decisions, because all 8 of these teams that they'll be playing in the finals this week, all 8 are going to the Olympics. So, and none of them have announced their Olympic rosters. I think some are a lot closer to figuring that out than others. I think Italy is pretty darn close to figuring that out. Actually, I'm wrong. Japan announced theirs today, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But some of these teams actually still kind of need this data to help them make roster decisions. I think Poland is a big one. I think there's been a lot of chatter in the Discord about Poland's outside hitter position. Like, how good have all 5 of their major outside hitters been playing, and who the hell is Gerbic going to pick? And I don't know the answer. It's that will be one of the kind of few interesting things to watch about this VNL final.
All right, I love it.
Let's make some picks. You know what? Just for the heck of it, let's make some picks.
Yeah, for sure. Are
you going to do it?
No, I mean, I think, to be a homer, but not to be absolutely insane, I think Canada's going to get second. I think that, especially, no ran for Japan.
Oh, is that true? Okay.
That's what the chat is telling me right now.
Okay.
So if that's the case, I know you guys think I hate Ran Takahashi. I love him. I think
he's really good.
Yeah. Fantastic player. He just wasn't the MVP of that Monza team that you guys all think he was. So that's a massive blow. Without Ran, that's a huge thing. I don't know if there's anyone better in the world of volleyball in system than Ran Takahashi. You give him a bit of a gap, he's crushing it. Like, he is very, very good in system.
There's better players on his own team, but he's very good.
No.
Ishikawa is way better than him in every single way.
Not in system. In system. No, we can break down like adults. We can break down the video and I can show you.
I would love that.
But in the semifinals, I think Slovenia is going to beat Argentina just because the trip that Slovenia's been on. Canada gave Slovenia a really, really good run in week number 1.
Yeah, 5-setter, and that was
5-setter. I think I've said this constantly. It's really hard to beat a team twice in the same tournament, which is also what gives me a little bit of hesitation calling Canada versus Japan, just because you know what? Even with no Rand there, Kai can come off the bench and do a really good job. But I think it's possible for Canada to make the finals. So I think it's going to be a Poland-Canada final.
I don't think
and then if we win a set, hey, golden baby, we're good to go.
Yeah, I actually don't think that's that insane. The right side of this bracket is clearly way stronger than the left. Like Slovenia, Argentina is a fun game between two teams that I'd say are hopefuls of being relevant at the Olympics. I'd say Japan and Canada is very similar. That is going to be a good game between two teams that are hopeful to be relevant at the Olympics. I think both of those quarterfinals on the left side of your screen are a coin flip, and I think whichever two win in the semis, that's a coin flip as well. So it is actually possible for Canada to go to the final here. It is. The right side of
my ass here.
Oh no, definitely not. The right side of the bracket, I really wish that Italy was sending the guys because it would be electric to see them play France. But that's okay. We're almost certainly going to get France versus Poland in the semis in Łódź, and that's going to be awesome. That is going to be awesome. Will we see Irvin Ingapet for the first time since week 1? I don't know. Maybe. I hope so. Whoever gets to the final from the right side of the bracket is going to be the heavy favorite, no matter who comes out of the left.
Yeah. And it's heavy favorite on Poland, too.
For sure.
Poland playing at home.
Yep. Yeah.
They're going to get all the best. They're going to get the best schedules. They're going to get the best treatment. It's Poland playing at home. So,
well, if the women's final is any indication about being able to manipulate the schedule to favor the hosts, then oh boy. Okay. You want to talk about the community's picks for the men's teams?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do this.
We're getting real close to game time here, Rob. So we definitely gotta wrap this up soon. I don't know if you guys don't know, if you're outside of North America, they may be quite possibly the biggest hockey game of all time. Is about to go down.
Yeah, they say it's at 8 Eastern. It's going to be more like 8:15 puck drop. But yeah, we're going to get out of here because there's a potential of a reverse sweep from 3-0 to 4-3 maybe. We'll see.
And in hockey, that is
impossible.
The playoffs, that's
impossible.
That is, come on. I think
it's impossible.
It's happened 4 times in the history of hockey. Never in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. I honestly can't wait to our boy Marcus from Edmonton is probably losing his mind.
Big shout out to Marcus. Hopefully he's staying safe right now.
Hopefully. Anyway,
I have some stories to tell you about Marcus too, about after you left.
I'm excited to hear these stories. All right. The VNL preliminary round awards as voted on by the Volleyball Source Discord community for the men's side. Again, we didn't pick these, the community did. And again, these are preliminary round only awards. Best team, Slovenia. Absolutely. Biggest disappointment, Cuba. And that's because of the disappointment that they feel having come up just short of the Olympics, same as the Canadian women. But honorable mention to the United States, I agree. Biggest surprise, Canada going to the VNL playoffs? I don't know about that. I don't think that is the biggest surprise.
Us going 4-0 last week, yeah, maybe.
That was a pleasant surprise.
We 3-donged Brazil. Sorry, I forgot. We didn't even mention the fact that we 3-donged Brazil.
Brazil is an afterthought this tournament. Who cares? Like, Brazil is not relevant right now.
You're not wrong, but still, it's still nice.
Right now, at this very moment, Canada is a better volleyball team than Brazil is.
I mean, hell, you guys even beat Brazil in the last week. Right? That's saying something.
Have you ever been able to truthfully say in your life that Canada is a better volleyball team than Brazil?
I mean, right now, considering that our B team beats them, our A team beats them, like they're like one of their best prospects is Canadian. He was born in Brazil, but grew up in Canada. So, yeah, like Canada doesn't have Uncle Mo. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the biggest surprise, but I don't know. I think the biggest surprise has to be the USA not going to the playoffs.
I'm not that surprised by that, given what we did in week 1. I don't know. Maybe the Netherlands going 3-9. That's a surprise. That's pretty bad.
So many other teams, like Italy, did the exact same thing where they sent a B team in week 3, right? And like so many other teams did that across volleyball, so you can't use that as an excuse.
Yeah, you're right. Most memorable moment: Serbia reverse sweeping Canada. Yeah, we already talked about it. Honorable mention: a 44-42 set. I'm glad you brought this. I'm glad that the community brought this up. It was the VNL record for longest set ever, 44-42 in Turkey versus Germany. So that's sick. Didn't watch that game. And then Onodera one-on-one blocking Simone at 14-13 in the tiebreak. That is another moment that Cuba will be looking back on because they should have won that 5th set against Japan, and they They were up 14-11, I think, and blew it. So that was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Best match, Canada versus USA in Ottawa. I'm actually kind of surprised that the community voted on this.
Me too, because that one was hands down my favorite match, without a doubt. Like, it was special, but for me, it wasn't it was a pretty dominant match on Canada's part. But the atmosphere was absolutely incredible, right? It was hands down one of the best atmospheres in all of VNL this year.
Speaking of atmospheres, the Philippines this week was once again amazing.
Yeah, really
amazing. And I actually have a call to action, and really just I don't even know what to say it. Micah Christensen and many of the other American players that went down there this week said that was the best, like, quote unquote, home crowd support they've ever received for a USA volleyball match. On the other side of the world, American volleyball fans, we need to be so much better than we are. Our fandom for our national team is embarrassing. Canada does a substantially better job of supporting their national team than we do. That substantially better. The crowds that you guys put, the butts and seats that you put in Ottawa for Canada games year over year versus what we did last time the USA men played at home in LA and then West Virginia, and just the general energy around American men's volleyball fans is not good enough. It's sad that our team, one of the best teams on the planet, has to go to the other side of this very planet to get good crowd support. It sucks. We need to be better. And somewhat related, the Nicolas Vives Award for Excellence in Stoogery and Men's Volleyball Coaching goes to none other than John Sparaw. Again, we didn't vote on this. This was the community, but I already went on my rant. You already heard my thoughts. Not an award you want to get before the Olympics. Tough.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the chat right now. You guys are doing great.
Thanks.
Somewhat related. And then breakout player Simeon Nikolov.
Great pick.
Has to be Joris Sadik too. Like,
also a great pick.
That dude is going to be something special.
You know he's going to be good because he's 18 and he already has his own Filipino Instagram account that's a fan page of his.
There we go.
Already has one.
Yeah, I love getting to talk to him. Really nice kid. And then the MVP, Tonchek Stern, which
well, I mean, it's a great pick. I'm not saying how was he selected. I'm saying how did he have this season that he had? Where did it come from?
Yeah, it has been absolutely incredible. He was second in overall scoring with 258 points. Only Namir was better. But the difference is that he did it on the best team in the VNL, whereas Namir did it on what was a dog water team in the in the VNL. So yeah, 100% has to go to Tonchek Stern. And I mean, he was a bit of a meme for us a little while ago, Rob, especially when he was playing on Padova. But now he's really stepped up for this Slovenian team. And once again, Slovenia doing all of this without the Rock Mozic.
Yeah, I think he played a little bit week 3, but not much. And
yeah,
that's a team that basically just has 8 players. they have 8 players. Yeah. One of which is the first all VNL team setter for the preliminary round. That's Gregor Ropret. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say 3 players outscored DeFalco, who was the top scorer for the USA for Slovenia.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't play week 1, but still.
Yeah. Tonchek Stern had more than double. DeFalco had 111 points. Stern had 258.
Wow. Oh yeah, good job by Gregor Ropret facilitating that. Also, the crowd in Slovenia in Ljubljana was awesome. Was so good.
Only when Slovenia played.
Yes, the fact that their volleyball fans didn't know or care enough to go watch Serbia versus Cuba, given the stakes, like the crowd and then the commentary. Oh God, but the production and the energy around Serbia versus Cuba, given what the stakes were, was pitiful. That sucked. Anyway, first team outside hitters, Stephen Marr and the Unicorn. The Unicorn is the best player in the world, but Stephen Marr up there in elite company. Good choice there by the Discord. I wonder if one very specific Discord member voted on this.
I hope
so too.
I hope so too. Yeah, maybe pass it around to some fans. But like, I've obviously been a Marr fanboy for a long time, and I've tried to preach the good word of Stephen Marr for the long time. And I think that people are starting to come around after what he's done throughout this VNL and what he did this past year with Monza. I don't know if anyone like works harder than Stephen Marr in volleyball. Like, I can fully say that with the way that he played for this team and how much he takes it on himself whenever he plays poorly has been incredible. And the way that he's able to empower his other teammates as well throughout all of it is great. And I know that there's a lot asked of him right now, and he's stepped up immensely. And I couldn't be happier that our community has recognized this as such as well.
Very well said. Tunchek Stern, first team opposite, obviously. Middle blockers, Agustin Loser and Javier Concepcion. I kind of like that pick for Concepcion. We love him. He's our boy. He's the go-to English speaker on Cuba. He did have a good tournament. I don't know about like second best middle blocker in the tournament, but I thought it was very good. And then Grebenikov libero. It's been very good to see Zhenir Grebenikov play again. I feel like we've forgotten about him just a little bit because he's been playing in Russia for club, and he's still Zhenir Grebenikov. He's still the guy.
He's still the guy.
And then Gergely Kretsu has done a really good job stepping in to coach the Slovenian team. First team coach, good choice. I'll take the second team, Everett. You take the third. The second team setter, Simone Gianelli. The outsides, Clement Chabel and Marlon Yant. The opposite, Namir Abdelaziz. The middles, Robert Lenny Simone and Jan Kozimiernik. I like those two picks. The libero was Santiago Donani, the biggest trash talker in the world.
Love it.
And the coach was your very own Tomas Samelvuo, who, like you said, has made this Canadian team believe in themselves, and that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, 100%. I can't help but love the man now. And I know at the beginning it was a little like, come on, you took out my guy, but
I hope he loves you too. I think we're working on that. We're
working on that. Hey, you know what? He gave me a good handshake after the USA win, and then I thought I asked him to do an interview, and I think he didn't hear me, so I just walked away. But yeah, looking at the third team setter, Masahiro Sakita.
I like that pick.
Gotta give that to him. Outside hitters, Efe Mandoracha and Eric Lepke. I thought Mandoracha actually had a pretty consistent tournament for Turkey. And I know Beandog did a great job at statting all of the left sides throughout the tournament.
I want to go look at that in a lot more detail. Big thanks to our Finnish friend for putting that.
And once again, this is why the Discord is so fucking awesome. We have all these people who are just doing this just for the sake of it. Right. We're not paying them or anything to do. They just do it because they love volleyball. Drazen Luberic as the next opposite. Honestly, the beast mode that we saw from him consistently, I can't disagree with that one at all.
I actually think he was the third best opposite in the tournament. And
100%. I can't think of like
crazy to say that.
Like I'm not giving it to Romano or Schwartz or Anderson or
nobody from Brazil.
But Petri had a meh. Like Nishida and Mia Oro were both okay. I mean, Serbia. There's no way Serbia qualifies if Rich doesn't play so well. No, he was a consistent monster for them. Actually, what was he? What was his? Yeah, he was their leading scorer with 170 points. So another big one. Looking down to the middle blockers, Finn McCarthy, the newcomer, probably like. If you're going to talk about like he is a rookie to the VNL, kind of the rookie of the year in the VNL, in my biased opinion. Very, very happy for Mr. Finn McCarthy and the way that he stepped up. And I think that's only the beginning. Like I talked to him in Ottawa afterwards, and we had a good chat. And his path has been one that's been a lot less linear than most would have expected or would have hoped. And I love he's just getting started, baby. It's going to be a good run. Cuba on the other one. So Finn McCarthy up there with Jakub Kovkanowski is awesome. Thales is the libero as a third team libero. Once again, I can't disagree with that. Although big shout out to my boy Justin Louis. I thought Justin Louis was
had a really good tournament.
Solid for Canada. And then the one and only Fife coming in as a third team coach as well, helping Italy dominate so much through weeks 1 and 2 that it didn't even matter that their B team went 2-2 in week.
Yep. All Italy wanted to do was set themselves in good enough world ranking position to get a good draw at the Olympics. And then after that, they are out of here. B team for the finals. See you later. Speaking of the Olympic draw, one of the last couple things we got to talk about here. It is going down on Wednesday. It is going down live on YouTube on the Volleyball World YouTube page. I believe it is at noon Eastern on Wednesday, the day before the VNL final starts, being drawn in Łódź. These are the The way these will be drawn, that first line will not be drawn. We know that France will be the number 1 seed in Pool A at the Olympics. Poland will be the number 1 seed in Pool B. Japan will be the number 1 seed in Pool C. After that, it is drawn of the seed lines within those lines that you see there. The second seeds will be drawn between Slovenia, Italy, and the US. The third seeds will be drawn between Brazil, Argentina, and Canada. And the fourth seeds will be drawn between Serbia, Egypt, and Germany. So this time on Wednesday, we will know the men's Olympic pools, and we will talk about them next week.
Rob, looking at these 12 teams and looking
Best field in history.
Holy shit.
It's crazy how good this field is.
Holy shit. The only thing that would make it better here is probably Russia, right? Like that.
Oh God. Could you
like imagine if you kicked out Serbia or Germany and you had Russia instead? Yikes.
And remember, like Germany, remember what they did at Olympic qualifiers last year?
Oh yeah, Germany, like when you have, and like who did they beat in week 3 with Crozier? I think it was
Japan, maybe?
Yeah, they dominated in week 3 when they had Crozier. Like once you add that one player.
Oh, they beat France. Sorry, they beat France.
They beat France. Yeah, exactly. So France wasn't necessarily 100%, but still beating France is not nothing. Bro, this is going to be such a toss-up. Like, holy crap. When we think about some of the gimme teams that have been at the Olympics in past years, like Venezuela,
Mexico, Great Britain.
Yeah, Great Britain and whatnot. This is going to be difficult. No one's going through undefeated. I don't think anyone's getting through this tournament undefeated. I think even the winner is going to lose a game in pool play.
Very possible. I cannot wait to see the pool draw because, like, no matter what happens, you're going to get just banger after banger after banger pool play games. And, like, even Poland, who's by far and away the best team in the world, they're going to get either Italy, the United States, or Slovenia in their pool. And Poland has kind of struggled with all 3 of those teams. Like, they lost to Italy in the World Championship 2 years ago. They lose to Slovenia all the time in Eurovolley with this crew, and the United States is the United States. So like there will be no gimme games. Not even Egypt. Egypt beat Japan last year.
They did. Egypt is a very, very good team. Like they are very solid. They are not Kenya. Hell, they're not even the French women, right? Like Egypt. Right. Egypt is a very, very solid team who is experienced as well too, and also they've been there before, right? This is an Egyptian team, and this is Egyptian program knows how to play at the Olympics.
Yep, they didn't go in 21, but they might have been there in 16. I can't remember.
They definitely went in 16, I think.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But I mean, they're not. I don't think they're going to win any games, but they're not going to be like a pushover like the Kenyan women, I think.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, I really think that this is going to be a really, really good Olympics, and I'm excited to watch. Hopefully, every match.
Yeah, I hope so too. So
hopefully some things fall into place that we can watch every single match.
Hopefully so. Again, drawing of lots on Wednesday. We'll be talking about it in the Discord. The pools will be posted. Last but not least, we finally have another country that has named their Olympic roster, and it is the Japanese men. Not a whole lot of surprises here.
None.
Sakita and Fukatsu are the setters. I don't know anything about Fukatsu, but it doesn't really matter because Sakita is the guy. Nishida and Miura are the opposites. Ishikawa, Takahashi, Otsuka, and Kai are the left sides, with Tomita as the reserve player. And then Yamauchi and Kentaro Takahashi and Taishi Onodera are the middles, with Yamamoto being the libero. So like this, I'm glad that Japan put this out now because there really shouldn't be any surprises here.
No. None whatsoever. This is kind of exactly what I would have expected from the team. Tomita will be their reserve player as well. This is a team that we know a lot of you love, a lot of you revere, a lot of you know like a few players on this team, and they know no one else. So I really hope your fanboying will serve you well once it comes to the Olympics. But this is a team that I think can go to Paris and have an impact. Do I think they're medal favorites? Maybe not. Do they think they have the potential to win a medal? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. They're starting 7 they have a good backup opposite. They have an okay backup middle, and it's kind of it. But their starting 7 is very, very good.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep. A lot of people are worried about Rand's injury.
Well, it sounds like he's not going to play VNL finals, going to stay home and rehab. I agree with that choice. I would expect him to be fine in a month. At least I hope so. The Olympics will be better if Rand plays.
Okay. I fully agree.
I think that's it, boys and girls. It's a show. Just beat the buzzer for 2 hours. We're gonna go watch an all-time great hockey game. I think you all should do the same. We will be back next week on probably Monday, right, Everett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd assume we're yeah.
Well, wait. Next Monday is Canada Day, isn't it?
I'm partying on Sunday.
There you go. Attaboy.
My party for Canada Day is on Sunday.
Well, maybe that might also be Canada playing in a VNL medal match on that very same day. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes, it would very, very much be nice. But now that we're back home and you're back home from Italy, we will be back to our normal schedule of Monday shows.
Yep.
We appreciate you. The fact that so many this is real talk. This is a record-breaking show in terms of numbers for an evening show, right?
Yeah,
when we do a show in the daytime, obviously the numbers, because it coincides with Asia and Europe and North America, whereas the evening shows really only correspond with Asia and North America. So we had almost 300 concurrent viewers, over 1,000 of you tuned in. So really appreciate you guys coming back, especially because it's been a few weird weeks with us where we were doing so much and then just kind of dropped off for a little bit. So we really appreciate that you're all back, and we're going to be back to our regular schedule and with potentially some more stuff as we get closer to the Olympics.
Right. Kenny in the chat, when are the interviews going to be uploaded? When they're damn well ready. Be patient. We've got 1 million interviews that we took courtside that you can watch in the meantime while you wait for 3 in particular.
There's one that's pretty ready to go. Have you watched it yet?
No, I haven't. I'm going to watch it tomorrow. I'm really excited for it.
Watch it right now.
There's hockey, homie. We just talked about this. And then how is Italy? It was great. Thank you for asking. I saw Tommy Blizzard. It was awesome.
What's the best dude you ate?
That's very good.
Keep it as dude. Keep it as dude. Rob was eating dudes.
Italian food is by far my favorite food style in the world. So I was in heaven. Shout out to Tommy Blizzard, one of the OG members of our community. He met up with me for dinner in Florence. We got Bistecca Fiorentina, and then he gave me a Matt Anderson Modena jersey. So that was awesome. Speaking of Modena jerseys, there's one. Don't forget to look for Daddy. If you found Daddy, comment the timestamp. We're going to go watch some hockey. We'll see y'all next Monday.
Peace. Love you all. Bye.